Welcome back to Latin 4. This is lesson 95. Now at the end of the last chapter I said it would be a few lessons before we got a lot of new forms to learn. Maybe I told, there's some forms to learn in lesson 95 here with the regular verbs, but they should all come very easily. Basically, just as in English, there are verbs that don't quite follow the pattern as normal verbs do. We've already met some of those. Their principal parts can be very different. But here are some that are conjugated very different, even in the indicative. And so the main ones are, in part 2 there on page 188, sum, I am, do, I give, volo, I wish, pharaoh, I bear, eo, I go, theo, I am made, or become. And we need to learn all these from Appendix 3, which begins on page 298. So when you turn back to page 298, he's asking you need to learn the indicative of sum, which you already have done, and the infinitive, which is essa. So you already know that one. And then turn the page, and possum and prosum are simply compounds with sum. So you really know all those already, and the indicative and the infinitive. Then in the middle of page 300, you have volo, nolo, and malo, which again are all conjugated the same and have endings that they're not surprising, but you do need to learn them in the indicative and the infinitive. Then on page 302 we get fio, fieri, factus, to become or to be made, and again you need to learn those forms in the indicative and the infinitive. And then at the very bottom of page 302, easy to miss down there, eo, iri, iwi, itus means to go. And again, those forms, you notice the forms are not surprising. They're just not formed in the same way as other verbs are formed. So, for example, on the top of page 303 with eo, is, it, imus, itus, eant. The first person plural looks like a first person plural. You just have to remember that imus comes from eo. And then on page 304, pharaoh, phara, tuli, and latus. So that one has irregular principal parts as well. And again, learn it in the indicative and in the infinitive. So you need to spend some time back there in that appendix, pages 298 to 305, looking over those. And wouldn't hurt to add them to your vocabulary cards and to begin to study them. The forms themselves will be, they're very easy to recognize, but you need, of course, to study them so well that you can reproduce them on a quiz. And so make sure that you can do the perfect forms of eo. Make sure that you can give the future indicative tense of theo. So you need to be able to do that. All right. Carrying on. Compounds of sum on page 188. Excuse me, we skipped up. Complementary infinitive. Possum, I am able, and similar incomplete verbs may take an infinitive to complete the action. Again, very similar to what we have in English. I am able to go. It takes an infinitive to complete the idea. And compounds of sum. So here are very many different compounds of sum. You need to add them to your vocabulary cards. And of course, they're very easy to conjugate because they just follow the conjugation of sum. But you just need to memorize these as different vocabulary words. So de sum, I am lacking, or I fail, and so forth. All right. Let's try our exercises on page 189. Work out the translations for yourself and then come back and check them. Parvo contenti esse possumus. So we are able to be parvo contenti. We are able to be content parvo a little, right? So from parvus. So we are able to be content in little or in a small way. So you could read that as an ablative, or you read that as an adverb. So probably an adverb. We are able to be content but a little. 2. Tu ipsa eam videra non pateras. So that's imperfect. You were not able, you yourself were not able to see him. 3. Nemo nosin hac causa plus iuare potis quam tu. So no one, potis iuare, no one is able to help us, nos, in this cause more than you. 4. Nihil tibi mei literae proderent nisi eas accurate leges. So, you read nothing, or nothing in you, my letters, profit, unless you read these accurately. So there's a good, if you try to read a sentence straight through like that, you're often going to get something like that. So you need to find which one of these verbs is the main verb. Is it proderent or is the main verb leges? Well, leges comes after nisi, unless. Maybe you had to look that word up, unless. So that, that's in a separate clause. So, my letters, find the nominative. Mei literae, my letters, proderent, profit nothing for you, unless, leges, you read them accurately. Next, mei liberi numquam ab oculis meis affuerant. So affuerant, that comes from assume or obsum. So you need to be able to, so if you start to look up this where you see affuerant and you start to look up AF in the dictionary, you'll never find it. So you have to know that it's obsum, abissa, affui, affuturus, be absent. Okay? So, they have been absent. What have been absent? Mei liberi. My books, or excuse me, my children, have been absent, never from my eyes. My children have never been absent from my eyes. 6. Pueri et puellae dolent quod non multum ae statis superest. Okay. So the first half of our sentence, we have pueri et puellae dolent. So boys and girls are grieved that that no more summer remains. No more of summer remains. It is left over. Supersum. 7. Nostra scola ab apido fere duo milia passum abest. Our school is absent, abest, is absent from the city. So in English we'd say is distant. Our school is distant from town, fere duo milia passum, about or scarcely or almost 2,000 paces, about 2 miles or however you wish to say it. All right, well there you go with lesson 5. So in 95. So in some way there is a lot in this lesson, but again the conjugations are very easy. They'll be very familiar when you see them. It's essentially a lot of vocabulary, this lesson. So spend a lot of time with that, and then you'll be ready to proceed.